ails them is that the Steelers have been trying to run a lot of outside zone. This is not a team designed to run outside zone. This is a power running team whose offensive linemen are power blockers who like the inside zone game. The Steelers need to get back to what has always worked well for them. And as Mike Tomlin said, they will indeed get better at it.
Coaching him up brilliantly. Coach of the Year candidate for sure, the front runner there. Taking a look here, guys, at the teams that have gone 9-0 the past decade. Only the 2015 Panthers got to the Super Bowl. None of them took on the Lombardi. The Steelers trying to change that narrative. You heard Tomlin say the only perfect thing about them, guys, is their record. Pittsburgh leads the NFL in sacks. Big Ben just had season highs in passing yardage and touchdowns. Are the undefeated Steelers just now hitting their stride? Hey.
Hello. It's the only honest answer to this is we don't know, to be determined, because we have a really unique species of team here. It's a 9-0 team, and everyone's already starting to write their blogs and tweets about could they go 16-0, but there's not a juggernaut vibe to this team. There's not. They don't have an estate piece win. They don't have this incredible win they did on national television. I mean, they beat the Titans, they beat the Ravens, and the strangest thing, you know, Roethlisberger had that great take where he's like, well, if the Cowboys are America's team, we're the world's team. Now, that was awesome. The world's team has not been on national television since week 1. They had the strange game week 1, like of a doubleheader against the Giants, and they're not going to be again until Thanksgiving. So are they hitting their stride? I don't know. Some of those teams we showed there, whether it's the Cam Newton Panthers or even the 18-0 Patriots, they were so celebrated, and they were so historically great and historically vaunted. The Steelers team is just kind of old Ben, who looks pretty good, and some young guys. And here's the thing. They don't have a lot of these crazy games on the schedule. We're not going to learn a ton about them the next 6 weeks. They play the Jags this weekend. What are we going to learn about Pittsburgh? If they go 10-0, are we saying Super Bowl? That's it. All we know is Ben's playing well, and there's a lot to learn about this team. Maybe they'll beat Baltimore again, fine. If they beat Buffalo, are you going to do backflips and say they're going to the Super Bowl?
Do you think they're losing? Are they losing a game on this?
I don't think they're going to go 16-0. I think they're going to be a 14-2 team. I never believe in 16-0. But I still don't know if this team's going to win the Super Bowl because we haven't had to see all of their mettle and all of their talent. It just hasn't been called upon yet. It's very odd this late in the season.
But this was indeed your Super Bowl selection.
Yes,
I did. You still feel confident?
In August, yeah, and I feel very confident.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, they're 10-0, and I mean, I love the fact that they're looking at themselves as an imperfect squad. I've been on teams where we had a little bit of a run. I remember starting off undefeated, a handful of games in, coach walking in, a little cocky. Guys got their chest out. We think we're the biggest stuff on the planet. And then we get smacked in the mouth. I like the approach of saying that the only thing perfect is our record. And I'll say that they are hitting their stride, you know, because they haven't played that dominant game yet, which means it is around the corner. And even if there is something we can look at and say, you know what, the run game isn't quite there, their pass game is always there. I mean, they got a legitimate 5 guys like the restaurant chain. And it starts with Juju Smith-Schuster, who's an absolute beast.
Peanuts.
James Washington, yeah, and they're not just throwing peanuts out there.
My man.
These guys are going deep. Deontay Johnson, who was their leading receiver last game. Yeah. And people forget that week in and week out, Eric Ebron is an absolute beast. I know Eric Ebron is kind of like boom or bust. That's my dog. I look at him like my little big brother. But when he's on, he's on. And if you look at some of these crucial moments in the game, Big Ben is dropping back, can't find his wide receivers. He's finding Eric Ebron. And, you know, we've mentioned Chase Claypool a ton on this show. I like to bring up the receivers because that is the strength of this offense. And if these guys can't run the ball, they'll always have a group of guys, a group of wideouts, including a tight end named Eric, to hold them down.
You know, Kay, you picked the Bengals to win last week. I thought the Bengals had a really good shot to win
almost lost to Gilbert.
This Steelers team did smack around that Bengals team coming off a bye, and their situation was not ideal. Ben had COVID-19 issues because of close contact.
So didn't practice, right?
Wasn't with the team all week. Coming off that Dallas game where he was injured and hurt his lower body twice and had to leave the game and come back. Even last week against Cincinnati, Ben was doing one of these deals. I think we have the video of it. It was pretty dramatic if you're watching it. This deal, look, Ben makes the play here, and then he goes down. You're going to see here. He goes, and it's like, okay, that doesn't look good. And then they show Ben, like,
the classic
working
wins.
it out. The classic Ben, I got to stretch this thing out.
Yeah,
there it is.
No feeling in my arm.
That should have been the Hall of Fame segment.
I mean, that's it. And it's like, oh, God, like, we need a... And that's the elbow that he...
Rub some dirt in it.
The week before it was the leg.
Oh, my God. So, to me, they thrive on this. And, like, Ben has been awesome. He's got 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's got better numbers than Brady, better numbers than Breeze. He's firmly in that MVP conversation. And he leads these guys. They follow him, all the happiness that they're, and Ben's happy. So
having a good time.
I think there is a momentum thing here where they haven't hit their stride, and it's just starting to roll. And
is this the right time?
This is the right time. And Ben having the injuries and this and that, and I'm overcoming this, and I didn't practice, and it's like, that's Ben. And like, he thrives on that, and I'm a warrior, and despite...
But now you think they're like, oh, it's the Steelers. Everybody's
the
chasing.
Chiefs are still in this universe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not the team that, like, nobody wants to play the Steelers. They just have a really good record. They play
the Ravens on Thanksgiving in their building, so I think that's at Buffalo is one that I think I would circle and say yes. But 16-0 is so difficult. I don't know if they're undefeated. I don't even know if they even get to that conversation in December.
Kyle, do you trust the Steelers more than the Chiefs?
Well, we're going to learn a lot about the Chiefs this weekend. I mean, Chiefs-Raiders is everything. I think I would say just as much, because I just look at the coaches and the quarterbacks. If you're talking about trust, and I trust both of those guys implicitly. Nate, you touched on it. The biggest splash surprise for the whole Pittsburgh season, I think by far, has been Chase Claypool. Yeah. The whole story going into the season. Okay, defense, Minka, TJ, blah, blah, blah. Do they have enough offense? Is Ben going to be healthy? The Claypool thing is actually, it's like it's changed the whole AFC. So I would love to see them in the title game. Right now, I would say I trust them equally. I hate to be on the fence, but coaches and quarterbacks.
Tiebreaker? You do trust the Steelers more than the Chiefs?
Such a odd question.
Mahomes is good, dude.
It's a good question, though, because I really think it's those two teams.
It is a good question, but I'll say this, because we're getting at the point where there's some teams that are middle of the pack, and then there's some teams that are legitimately the best in the league. So if I could answer that question, there's a few teams that I know are going to be in the playoffs and will be smacking teams around. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chiefs. And I know Russell Wilson doesn't look good. I'll throw Russ in that conversation. So for me, it's not about their squad. It's about what Kyle said, their quarterbacks, but more importantly, their head coaches. I trust Big Ben, Mike Tomlin, Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll. That right there is the deciding factor for him.
This year, more than ever, Kay's question is validated in a way that I think it matters, because there's only one bye.
100%.
There's only one home field advantage. Like, that one seed is so much more important this year. You get a week off, you get to kick back, you get to watch, and you have home field throughout.
2 seed's got to work.
The 2 seed has to win 3 games before the Super Bowl. That's a lot of work. This year is very different.
6 teams are tied at 6-3?
Yeah.
In the AFC. Where's the Titans team, right?